Stagnation, welcome back to the channel.
Champions.
Or this time we'll call it a podcast as well.
Yes,
Okay?
sir.
There we go. So, actually, today we're going to be talking to an astute gentleman, Mr. Cordy Joseph, joining us. on
Cody
this beautiful,
Jones.
beautiful day.
Hey guys,
Okay.
what's going on?
Not much, brother. How you feeling?
I'm doing amazing. This is gonna be a phenomenal year for tech,
Yeah.
for everything. So we're gonna see an amazing year for everything this year. AI, tech, gaming, blockchain. So looking
Well,
forward to it.
everyone keeps saying that, man. Everyone keeps saying that.
It's the year to
But
build.
At the same time, you guys could be setting yourself up for disappointment.
Who's the you guys?
Anyone
The thing
can
is, though, we've been this for the past 2 years, man. So it's good to be optimistic for some time. At least this year, try to be optimistic. It's been a rough bear market.
Did you guys see the SEC? SEC was like, do not FOMO. Literally just released something this morning trying to explain what FOMO meant.
But the SEC is the FOMO generator. Okay.
Man.
Before we kick this one off, ladies and gentlemen, we want to give Mr. Cordy a proper intro here. Mr. Cordy, obviously blockchain enthusiast, tech enthusiast. Tell the people a little bit more about yourself.
Yes. So I've been in the space for years now, the blockchain space. And a group that I got into was BK Crypto around 2018. That was an amazing group for me because we all gathered together and it was a lonely space at the time because there's not many people like that we could talk about blockchain and crypto too. And, at 2018 was a bear market itself.
Yep.
So the first person I met was Dylan. It was during an event. So I met Dylan there. He's part of BK Crypto, and then from there I joined the group, and that was been a very insightful group right there. We've been talking about things since then. But besides crypto, I started my newsletter around 2019. I got into DeFi, blockchain gaming around 2018. So I've been exploring a lot of tech in the space. And there's an article I wrote around 2019 about the solution to Bitcoin volatility is Bitcoin DeFi, and then I talk about Bitcoin layers. So this is going to be an interesting year for 2024 because last year we've seen a rise in order nodes. If you guys don't know what order nodes are, it's a way to build basically collect what they call order nodes, which are inscriptions. And these are numbered, and I don't want to get too involved with it, but it's numbered, and it shows you, okay, this is meant to this period of time. And it's for the first time we're seeing collectibles artifacts. We call them digital artifacts on Bitcoin that you collect over a period of time. And it shows you how Bitcoin could do something. And I've been telling people for years. I've been an advocate for Bitcoin layers for years. I'm currently an advisor for a metaverse project, this other project as well, which is for music. But my main thing has been Bitcoin layers. The one I talk about is Rootstock. Talk about Rootstock around 2019. That's when I wrote the article about Rootstock and STAKK. And the first article I've ever written about blockchain was about STAKK. And at the time it was called STAKK. And I was so excited about Bitcoin apps that I wrote my first article about blockchain. Like, I gotta write about this, right? And at the time, STAKK was we're Stacks now, but they had this app where it was like on Bitcoin, but they were able to use a Microsoft Word-like feature. And that was interesting because I'm like, okay, this is cool. Because what else can we do with Bitcoin? Then the second article I wrote about was about Rootstock. And Rootstock is something like a layer for Bitcoin, right? Basically, like, hey, you can use Bitcoin, but because the gas fees, the fees on Bitcoin could be too much, it'll be hard for everyday people to use apps on the Bitcoin, on the regular Bitcoin layers. So we've seen ordinals. Ordinals is something that allow you to have digital artifacts on Bitcoin. But the fees are going up now, right? We're seeing that, okay, we like ordinals, but for everyday people, there's gonna be like Bitcoin layer solutions like STAKK that are going to be able to allow everyone to use Bitcoin solutions. Yeah, so that's the boring part of what's going on, but it's important because what's important that we need to build a strong foundation for blockchain. And I'm currently also the Rootstock ambassador. So I'm a Rootstock ambassador. I've been talking about Rootstock since 2019, and I believe that's important for crypto because it's the layer where it's like a spider web that connects to everything in the space. And for those that don't know, there's a thing called EVM compatibility, which means that you can have support for every Ethereum-like application, such as Polygon, Ethereum, obviously Ethereum, and then Arbitrum, and Optimus, and all other layers that are working with Ethereum. We're even seeing Solana have EVM compatibility. So you see that's very important. But what really made Rootstock stand out was that Rootstock doesn't use a gas. It doesn't use a token, which is nice, right? Things that I discussed is that, hey, Rootstock has a way to use Bitcoin, and this Bitcoin is bridged from the Bitcoin layer onto Rootstock. And, what's happening here is called progressive decentralization, right? It's progressive because over a period of time, it's getting more decentralized and more decentralized and more decentralized. And everyone that tells you things are decentralized are telling you BS. That's BS because we're not there yet. There's no real decentralization. Okay? It doesn't exist. So it's about taking things one step at a time. So now you have Ordinals that came out last year, very big, and I took an L on Ordinals. Have you guys heard of Bitcoin frogs?
You said that was Bitcoin frogs?
Bitcoin frogs, yes.
No, not familiar with this. What is this?
I've seen that NFT. I didn't buy it. I'm a big stacks person. STX. That's the signal for the coin. So when you're talking about stacks, I've been following them for a while. So I actually also have investment in stacks. I didn't fall for ordinals, but it actually blew right in my face. So yes, I kind of also took a hell on ordinals for not investing in it.
Yeah, for me, I invested in it, but I sold early. So my first ever ordinals was Bitcoin frogs, right?
Wow.
I mentioned it for like it was like $20 at the time, and now they're going for like $15,000 for each. I think I like five, but it's all
Yeah,
good.
Was it the first Bitcoin frog that just recently sold for almost $200 and something thousand dollars? Was it $278,000 recently, like last week or so?
I'm not sure. I haven't kept up. I turned off the notifications for Bitcoin frogs on Twitter. I don't really see.
I saw that. I was like, that's crazy.
For those who don't know, what is Bitcoin frogs?
Oh yes, I'm gonna tell you. I actually met the founder in New York during NFT NYC last year. A very great guy. He's very familiar with the Stacks community. So Bitcoin frogs was very interesting. When I minted it, I loved their experience. They used Lightning Network to mint the Bitcoin frogs, and that really got my attention at the time. Where I was able to use actual Bitcoin, and I used the Lightning Network, and I paid for it. But it was kind of like it was not as user friendly. Like I think there's other wallet, and then there was like a wallet extension that I used. I sent it there, then I had to send it somewhere else to the page. But it was interesting. It showed me like, wow, I was able to buy, and I wouldn't call them NFTs. They kind of don't like call them NFTs. They call them ordinals or digital artifacts because it's different, right? They call these things.
What is the difference?
Wait, what were you saying?
What is the difference?
When it's actually mined, it's part of the old mining
Yes.
infrastructure of us.
So the difference is that so we're seeing a lot of NFTs on Ethereum, right? And the thing about NFTs on Ethereum, they are not really on chain, right? And that's a problem because they say that you own the NFTs, but do you really own them if the company that's building the NFTs could take down the picture.
picture.
So basically, if the companies go
So
out of
basically, if the
business
companies go out of
and
business
are not paying
and
for
are
the
not paying for
storage anymore to
storage
host these
anymore to
files,
host these
you
files,
could basically have an
you could
empty
basically have an
picture as your
empty
NFT.
picture as your NFT. Yep, I was telling Brazen that the entire NFT scam at the time was basically what you see now with all these AI companies. They just literally pivoted once that industry went dead, and now you have all these AI websites that do this AI images for you, and those were what used to be NFTs that they will sell to you, telling you that it was on the blockchain.
Yeah, it's not really in the
Yeah, it's not
blockchain.
really in the blockchain.
And,
Yeah, it's not.
and then there's people that try
And
to
then
tell
there's
you
people
that,
that try to
okay,
tell
they're on
you
the
that,
blockchain,
okay, they're on
they're
the blockchain,
backed by
they're backed by
IPFS. Have you guys
IPFS.
heard of
Have you guys
IPFS?
heard of IPFS?
Not heard about them. What are they?
So IPFS is
So
very
IPFS
popular
is
on
very
Ethereum. It's a
popular on
way to
Ethereum. It's a way
store
to
files.
store
I believe
files.
it's called
I believe it's
interplanetary
called interplanetary
file system. It's a
file
way to store
system. It's a way
files,
to store
I guess,
files, I guess,
decentralized, but it's
decentralized,
not really
but it's
decentralized,
not
right?
really decentralized,
It
right?
still
It
involves
still involves
just pinning files
just
and all
pinning
that, and
files and all
it's
that,
not
and
perfect.
it's
It's
not
not
perfect.
perfect,
It's not
but that's
perfect,
a way to
but
make
that's a
things
way to make things
decentralized on Ethereum.
decentralized on Ethereum.
It's not great.
It's not
It's not
great.
great because
It's
what
not
happens is
great
that
because what happens is that
um, after a period of
after a
time,
period of time,
you could take down the
you could
files
take down the
at some
files
point, and
at some
it
point,
doesn't
and
last
it
forever.
doesn't last forever.
Absolutely.
So
That right there is not a
that
good
right
thing
there is not a
for
good thing
decentralized
for
art.
decentralized
So
art.
Ordinals,
So
they
Ordinals,
skipped the
they
whole
skipped the whole
thing where it's like, hey,
thing where it's like, hey,
we don't need
we don't
IPFS, we
need
just store it
IPFS. We just store
directly
it
on Bitcoin,
directly on Bitcoin,
right?
Yeah, right? On layer one, they're now the guys increasing the transaction time and the transaction fees. Why can't they just do it on layer two on or using stacks?
We'll get there, right?
We'll get there, right?
So now
So
the
now
layer one is
the
nice,
layer
right?
one
But
is
now we're
nice,
seeing
right? But
fees like
now we're seeing fees
$30
like
for Ordinals,
$30 for Ordinals.
just to
Crazy.
move it around,
Just to move it around,
right? That's not user
right?
friendly.
That's not user friendly.
So with Ordinals, what we're
So with
seeing that even
Ordinals,
though it's
what we're
on
seeing that
chain, it's
even though it's
not
on
perfect.
chain, it's not perfect.
Um, and
Um,
even the
and
websites that are
even the
storing the
websites
files
that
are
are
not
storing the
really
files are not really
perfect as well.
perfect as well.
So
So
I call
that's why
everything
I call
progressive
everything progressive
decentralization because
decentralization because
it's
um,
there,
it's there,
but it's
but
going to be only for the
it's going to
wealthy,
be only
right?
for the
Like if you want
wealthy,
to store
right?
something
Like
very
if you want to store
important on
something very
Ordinals,
important on
you have it
Ordinals,
there.
you have it there.
And
So
for
And
me
here's
personally,
for
one
me
thing.
I see it
personally,
as a way to
I
store
see it as a way to
metadata
store metadata
and not just
and not
Ordinals. And
just Ordinals.
that's
And
something where it's like, hey,
that's
you could
something
go
where it's
back
like, hey,
to
you
it
could go
and
back to it
trace your steps.
and
Like this
trace
is
your
the
steps.
proof
Like this is the
of
proof
where it came
of
from.
where it came from.
But I believe
But
the
I believe
trading should
the
happen
trading should
on layer two,
happen on
right?
layer two,
Like, hey,
right? Like,
this is
hey,
where it comes
this
from.
is where it comes
It's,
from.
it originated on
It
here on
originated on
Bitcoin,
here
but
on
if I want to
Bitcoin.
trade it,
But if I want
I
to
could
trade it,
move it to
I
the
could move
layer,
it to the
right?
layer,
So we're
right?
seeing that with
So
stacks.
we're seeing that with stacks.
Stacks is interesting, but stacks is a little
Stacks
bit
is interesting, but
different. They
stacks
have
is a
a
little bit
token, but
different.
I
They have a
love stacks
token, but
because
I love
stacks I
stacks
call the
because stacks I
polygon
call the
of
polygon
Bitcoin,
of Bitcoin,
right? And
right?
they have a very
And they have a
smart
very
community,
smart community,
very smart
very
devs, and
smart
they have
devs,
very
and
great
they have
leadership,
very great
such as
leadership,
Munib.
such as Munib.
He's doing a lot of great work.
He's
He
doing a
actually
lot of great
did
work. He actually did
the first
the
ever
first ever
Bitcoin Builders
Bitcoin
Conference
Builders
last year,
Conference
and I
last
was
year,
proud to be a
and I
part of
was
that
proud to be a
because
part of that
I
because
skipped
oh,
the
you were there? I
Bitcoin
skipped the
conference. That was
Bitcoin conference.
that's like
That's like
that's Moon Boys
that's Moon
that were
Boys
there.
Yeah.
that were
But
there.
Yeah.
But
wait, what were you saying?
wait, what were you saying? No, I did not know that you attended. I watched it online and I was like, man, this is amazing. Like, these are actually the people going to be making the future impact on Bitcoin. Like, Bitcoin, not just for money transactions, but Bitcoin as an application, Bitcoin as a true well, Ethereum is competing against Bitcoin, but really, like, people keep saying Bitcoin can't do anything. And I'm like, no, there's a possibility. And when I was watching the conference, it was starting to make sense. Yes, it's not going to be fully decentralized because, it's coming off of decentralization into some central control as they build all these different apps. But again, it's still Bitcoin. It's actual proof of work. It's not all this fake stuff.
Correct.
Correct.
That conference was
That
amazing.
conference
It
was
was better than the
amazing. It was
regular
better than
Bitcoin
the
conference. I
regular
was there. It
Bitcoin
was a
conference.
day
I was there. It was a
before
day
the Bitcoin
before
conference.
the Bitcoin conference.
And
Yep.
wow, it
And
was organized
wow,
by
it was organized
Munib,
by Munib,
one of the co-founders
one of the
of
co-founders
Stacks,
of
Co-founders.
and
Yep.
we had people there from
and we had
Moosestack as
people there
well.
from Moosestack as
So
well.
everyone came
So
together.
everyone came together. We had people
From the Lightning Network,
from
from
the Lightning Network,
Ordinals,
from
from
Ordinals,
Bootstack,
from
from
Bootstack,
Stacks,
from
and I was like,
Stacks.
wow,
And I
we're
was like,
finally
wow,
coming
we're
together.
finally coming
Because there's been
together.
so much
Because there's been so
divide.
much
If you look at my
divide. If
Twitter,
you look at my
like for
Twitter,
the
Yeah.
past 3 years, I've been fighting the fight of bringing them together because I'm like, hey, it makes sense if we
Bitcoin
join
maxis, man, it just
forcefully.
makes no sense. We're always fighting one another. I'm like, we should be working together. Finally, it's making sense. And the good part is that is the folks that are leaving Ethereum coming back to Bitcoin, building this new layer 2 networks on Bitcoin that is starting to make some sense. But I'm not liking the high fees though. The transaction fees are starting to suck.
Yeah. So that's a problem right there. So the fees are insane for ordinals. It's like $25, $20 just to make transaction. And
Mhm.
with Lightning Network, it was a good start, but I'm not really too sold on Lightning Network either. What's your opinion on Lightning Network?
I mean, I like the fact that I mean, we're still just talking about because we have a node,
Mhm.
and just being able to see the different applications that you can now use on the Bitcoin network, and then having a Lightning network along with that for easy, faster transaction, it makes sense.
Mhm.
But that is all we've seen so far. And I think it's a lot. We just need more devs and much usage, like more word out there. So like it reminds me of the days of Microsoft versus Linux versus Unix. It's like we're going through all of that all over again. And people are not catching the concept of everything that you want to go do on Polygon and Avax and all that guys. You can kind of almost start developing that on the Bitcoin network as well, and be truly decentralized actually as an infrastructure while you build on that. But I mean, that's my opinion. I think Lightning is just going to be one of the solutions for Bitcoin. It's just the beginning.
Yes, and
That's the way I see it.
and the reason why I say it's good to work together is because like you can't be too because if you look at Bitcoin maxis, they treat it like a religion, and that turns people away.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Obviously, the Bitcoin maxis they definitely treat some stuff like a religion. But here's the thing. I also have to also take a bit of a. I also have to kind of put the perspective because I also understand where Bitcoin maxis are coming from, and obviously it seems that the most paramount thing right now is obviously to try and solve the main problem, which is money. What is your? This is a couple. I guess I have like a couple different things. We've spoken about like stacks and rootstock, and I think obviously you can compare that to Lightning in some ways, in the sense that its applications built on Bitcoin, right? What is your perspective on this? Say like the ordinals on level one and the inefficiency that brings now, right? Obviously, the blocks are all backed up now, and there's a lot of fees there.
Like
The reason I'm asking this here, about your perspective here is because obviously there's people that when you look at people where we're used to building on Ethereum and things like that, it seems that their mindset and approach to a lot of these things is very different.
So you said the inefficiencies of ordinals? Is that the main question?
Well, the inefficiencies in transaction, because that's also one thing we need to do, right? And then the use case that it is bringing, is it worth the inefficiencies that it is right now?
What it does is that it brings on, because right now things are so early with ordinals, right? And there's something called DLC, which allows you to. So this guy I met, Robin, at the conference, he's creating a project called Liquidium,
Mhm.
and they allow you to borrow against your ordinals. So uh, there are brilliant things that are working on ordinals, but the UI isn't great. Even though there are some inefficiencies, what it does is that it's bringing a lot of the founders from Ethereum to Bitcoin,
Yeah.
and that right there is beneficial for the space because now is getting their attention, and now they're bringing their talents to Bitcoin to make things better. Um, so even though Ordinals isn't perfect, and I believe Ordinals isn't the number one solution, it's just a start. It was the way to bring others into the network, into the Bitcoin network, and a way to show use case. Even though it's not perfect use case, it's a way to show use case that Bitcoin works and it's here to stay.
Can I add to that real quick? So the biggest number one use case that we need to solve is the fact that money is broken.
Correct.
We need to
Correct.
take money away from government and
Mm-hmm.
centralized institution, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is why Bitcoin was
Mm-hmm.
created. Allow you and I to exchange value over
Mm-hmm.
time and space without any middleman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't be ordinals and stacks and everything pushing more towards that future than the immediate future of let's make money with trading and finding other, kind of like what we're currently doing in the fiat world, which is part of what's wrong. But like, let's just fix that ability for us to transact faster. So like ordinals is a major distraction. I'm not saying that it's not
Mm-hmm.
good, but isn't that a major distraction with now the high fees and the transaction delays that we have
Mm-hmm.
on the Bitcoin
Mm-hmm.
blockchain itself?
Yeah. So ordinals is the
So
first step. It's not the because everyone's just thinking like it's the best things to slice bread. It's not the best solution. I wouldn't call it distraction. I call it the onboarding, right? Yes, the real solution. I'm going to talk more about them. And I also believe that stablecoins today are not great at all because we're solving the money problem. And this will eventually lead to holochain and how they have mutual credit currencies that can't be printed to infinity, right? And for me, it goes back to Bitcoin. I see Bitcoin as a way it's for verification, for identity, and it's a way to basically my main use case for Bitcoin is identity. That's why my startup, where our first product is called Handle HNDL. We released a naming system on Rootstock. It's now on mainnet, and we're able to allow you to own your name on Bitcoin, but use ordinals as metadata. But the thing is, it's unlayered. It's on layer two. And but this is important because what's happening is that the biggest problem to solve in the world is corruption, right? We have to
Hmm.
solve corruption because to solve the money problem, we have to solve who controls the money.
Correct.
Exactly.
The ability to print money anyhow, because
So
money should come from work.
that is why I say I see where the Bitcoin maxis come from, because I get it. Like the way they go about it is, is not nice. I've been on, spaces with Bitcoin maxis where, they did not end up well for both of us. But at the same time, um, I guess I'm just kind of wondering that when we look at the gravity of we say the gravity of what we're trying to solve as a whole, which is this ownership idea. And I think that it is all of these things are, I really see it as testing to what is possible in the future, right? With something like ordinals specifically, right? And then after this, I really want to move on to the layer two stuff,
Hmm.
like lightning and all of that stuff. Um, with something like with ordinals, right, where they're building these things uh,
On chain.
on chain, right? Essentially creating this uh, new. It's like opening a new window to the situation, right? And now you have a space where people are still trying to learn, right? I mean, you're in the BK group. You see that there's a lot of people that need to learn these things, trying to catch up to all of these things. I guess what I always wonder is with something like ordinals, make it more difficult or delay that process of adoption, right? Or take away or distract from the fact that there is this massive, massive corruption problem that we have that we are trying to solve. Because it seems to me that once we solve this corruption problem, then everything else that we do built on Bitcoin would probably benefit massively, or at least follow along the sort of principles. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that is distracting from uh, the adoption,
What I learned from what happens,
or at least solving
yeah.
corruption?
So
Yeah.
Bitcoin maxis, because I don't think you can't onboard people by treating things
Oh, we just lost them.
like you can't
I think
onboard
we lost you,
people.
Corey.
You can't onboard people by treating things so with Bitcoin maxis, they don't show you applications, right? It's like, hey, Bitcoin, it's the best thing. Hey, hold Bitcoin. Just put it in your wallet. That's it. But who cares,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Not everyone cares about
Not
that.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you're not
yeah.
gonna
That's not fixing
like
anything.
you,
Yeah.
it's hard to attract people that have certain issues, right? Like
yeah.
if you go to Nigeria, if you go to other countries like Venezuela, they can't afford to just hold Bitcoin and that's it. Oh, I'm gonna hold Bitcoin. Oh, I'm gonna store it in my wallet and hope for the best.
Mhm.
Uh, so Bitcoin has to be utilized in a way where it helps people, right? It actually has to change their lives because it has to do more than just, you know, be held as an asset with they call it like a store of value. Um, so
Absolutely.
now it goes to DeFi and the money problem. Uh, so you have something like DeFi. The thing is, a lot of Bitcoin maxis they talk about DeFi, but they'll talk about USDT, and I'm like, why are you guys using USDT? That's not the solution here, right?
Yeah.
Right?
I think
So
the Bitcoin
right
maxis. I
there
think they
is
have their
another
own blind
problem.
site. They
You
have
guys
the
hear me?
blind spot, which is a massive
You
one.
guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Wait, I don't think there's any
Or maybe
sound.
it's our internet.
I don't think there's any sound.
Oh no,
You guys,
it might be us. Can you hear us, Cordy?
We good. It's this side.
Can you hear us? Can you hear us? Can you hear us? Oh no.
Yeah, we lost them. It's his internet.
Uh,
It's back.
wait, he's back. There we go. Hang on. All right. Can you hear us? We cannot hear you.
No audio.
We cannot hear you.
you guys hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Perfect.
we can hear you
Back.
now.
So where did I stop? So where did I stop?
Yeah, you were saying Bitcoin maxis are doing some. Well, or was it me saying? I think I was saying that Bitcoin maxis are, they have a very blind spot with the way that they see these things. Obviously, they bought Bitcoin at $5 or something like that,
Mhm.
and we should not expect them to have the same perspective on it as everyone else. But I think that goes back to where you're saying that Bitcoin has to be used in a way that helps people,
Mhm.
and I believe in that too. Which is where I think that we now come to layer two,
Yep.
right? And this is also why I think that the ordinals could have just been on layer two.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
the interesting thing is that I cannot say anything about it because I think that they also have the freedom to do that because that's also what Bitcoin is about,
Mhm.
right? But that is why I also asked about the question about the gas fees and the thoughts on ordinals building directly on chain because it's a mindset that personally I've never understood, right?
Mhm.
If you have to pay $25 to send
$20.
$20,
And hope that
right?
$20 will be worth
Right.
$1,000 in the future.
Right. And this is something that people are completely fine with. So that is something that's always very intriguing to me. How did people get to this point where this sense of value is flipped so far off, if you will,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
I get it. Someone could say, you're spending $25 to send $25 for the potential to make more than
The
$25.
potential is there though, because it's only a limited amount of blocks. So they think that since it's limited, that will be the only and one and only whatever it is that they've inscribed it into that block that would ever exist. So they rather pay the fees now and know that they're paying for access to an extremely limited resource.
That's not what is happening on Ethereum, brother. That's not what's happening on
Ethereum, they can print that forever.
I'm talking about the concept of just
Yeah.
paying this type of fees, right? But
Yeah.
nonetheless, because I know that when things go up on Bitcoin
Mhm.
too, the
Mhm.
gas fees are also there.
Yep.
By the way, is this the website you're talking about? The frogs, the Bitcoin frogs?
Oh yes, Bitcoin Fox. That's my first ever ordinals that I minted.
Oh, no kidding. Right. I almost minted one,
Oh man.
but then I left it alone. Yeah, I should have.
Yeah, they're going for like
But
15K now, which hurts.
oh, really?
Hurts.
Oh Lord, yeah. I remember when I watched the interview with the guy who created the ordinals and everything like that, and
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah,
You were inspired. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna go do one for you
Yeah,
to
I went
project.
I went there to do one. I thought about doing it, but at the time it was just not.
You were
I
too much
just
of a maxi. You were like, no, I'm not joining your crew.
yeah. I mean, I decided I should not do it. I just did not understand it well enough. I just did not understand the perspective well enough to do it. However, I think that there's going to be few other opportunities like this that will come up in the blockchain space. Now let's go to the layer two stuff.
I have one thing to say though,
Yeah.
before we go to that. I think that what's going on here is the whole concept of gold, and when people just don't consider what happened to gold as well, is that gold sitting inside your safe is not actually the entire store of value. The fact that gold is being used in computers, using sending equipment to space, the fact that gold is being used in jewelry is part of what creates that store of value, which is that layer two of that physical asset that you have, which is what you also need in Bitcoin. Is that Bitcoin in storage is great, but we need application layers for Bitcoin for that store of value to also really stay strong
That's a nice
on the
analogy right
software
there.
level.
It has to be utilized. You
Yeah.
can't just sit around and be like, oh, Bitcoin for the future is gonna go to the moon. Like, it will never
Yeah.
attract regular people who don't care about that because they care about making money every day because they have to pay bills every day to survive.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I guess I want to talk about just stacks and rootstock. What are the use cases for these ones here?
Uh, for me, I've been early to both stacks and rootstock, and
Mhm.
I see a future where rootstock and stacks work together, right? So when I went to the Bitcoin Builders Conference, I talked to a few people there, and I discussed how we could create a group. So we create a Telegram group to find ways to bridge out between stacks and rootstock because there's also a fight there too. The people in rootstock like, hey, we don't have a token, but because with rootstock they use a token called RBTC, which is Bitcoin bridged by proof of work. And the history with that is that if you guys have heard of Namecoin, so Namecoin is an example of a sidechain that was actually known by Satoshi. He helped out around that time with Namecoin, and he also created identities, blockchain domains around that time. So he was very big on names. So with Rootstock, that was the first ever Bitcoin sidechain that is fully functional, where Namecoin was just an early example of a sidechain. Uh, so Rootstock came out basically around 2018, 5 years after Bitcoin came out, basically. So a few days ago, Rootstock celebrated its anniversary. Uh, but what makes proof of work bridge special is that you're able to lock in your Bitcoin from the mainnet onto Rootstock and use
Is
it
that this
right
one?
away.
Just real quick, is that this page here?
Yes.
The name coin.
What site is that?
Name coin. Just type it. I just googled name coin.
Yeah, Namecom.org. What is Namecom.org the one that was during the last bull market saying that you can inscribe your name and your domain into the Bitcoin network or something
Oh
like that?
no, that's like
And then
no. So with Namecoin, that was around in 2013 with Satoshi. That was a old tech.
okay,
Yes,
okay.
it was old tech that was used just to show an example, like early in around that time.
Oh,
Oh,
to
okay.
show all the other functionalities.
Yeah, so at the
Okay.
time, Vitalik Buterin was around that ecosystem of Bitcoin, right? He was trying to build around Bitcoin, but he received a lot of hate. So he went and built out Ethereum on, but he eventually moved that to like proof of stake. But he was surrounded around the Bitcoin ecosystem. He wanted to build for Bitcoin, but it was just impossible for him to do so. And he saw that there was just so much, like at the end of the day, it's like how can we grow if maxis act like this, right? They give him so much hate just because he wanted to build on something. You want to actually create applications that work. So he created Ethereum. But what's happening there is there's a guy you guys should look up, Sergio. His name is Sergio Lerner. SERGIO Lerner.
Okay.
This guy's a very big deal, and he needs a lot more attention. He's one of the co-founders of Rootstock.
That's SEZROE.
SERGIO Lerner.
Oh, okay.
LERNER.
Sergio Lerner. Oh, I think that's it.
Sergio,
Sergio.
Sergio,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gro.
Sergio Lerner. Yeah, but this
Put Bitcoin.
Leaner, right?
Lerer. Lerer.
Yeah,
All right.
the second one. Put it there.
Lener.
The second one.
Second one, I got it. Yeah, but carry on. I got
You
it,
got
man.
it
I got it.
perfect.
I got
You
it.
got it
Yeah.
perfect. So he's someone that he's a co-founder of Rootstack. The thing
Send
is,
him before. Send
he
him
was one
before.
of the people that tested Ethereum. Like he basically was the one that gave advice for Ethereum to see the problems. And before Ethereum came out, he was like, okay, this is what needs to be fixed. He didn't like, so he advised the Ethereum Foundation and told them what was the issue with Ethereum, and he didn't like the issues with Ethereum. So he went and created his own. Him and three other co-founders created Rootstock. And what's happening here is that Rootstock is a layer solution to Bitcoin. It's what Ethereum should have been, which is interesting, right? Because
Right.
it works just like Ethereum, right? So basically, the first app I have on Rootstock called Handle, we're able to create an identity solution to own your names on Rootstock, but it works just like Ethereum. Like we use the same code that Ethereum uses for Rootstock. Like basically, it was not hard. Like we use
Is
Solidity
it
and everything. Everything was just like that.
solid? Yeah, solidity.
What were you saying?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
liquidity. I called it liquidity. I meant
Yeah.
solidity.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So
Carry
we
on.
use Solidity. It was just very straightforward.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Rootstock is using proof of work to secure its sidechain, and that's a very big deal because the average for Rootstock's Bitcoin miners is 60%. So 60% of Bitcoin miners are securing Rootstock's sidechain, which is a very big deal.
Oh, that's major. That's major, man. So miners now do not only make money off of selling some of the bitcoins that they mine, they can now actually. So this actually answers the question: what happens to miners after we've mined 21 million Bitcoin? There is still work to be done. There's all this other side chains, transactions
So they earn
that needs
extra
to be
fees
managed.
on Rootstock.
Are you serious? It's like the future bank. Miners right now are the future banking system, except for they're not double dipping and printing to infinity.
Yes, and it gets deeper. There's something called drive chain, which is I'm still trying to understand drive chain. It's a little complicated. It's gonna make things even bigger, where it's gonna help make sidechains even more decentralized. Because the problem with Rootstock, even though it's decentralized in a way, but it's not perfect yet. Because we're not completely centralized yet. But it's the start, right? Instead of relying on Ethereum to build everything.
When you say it's somewhat centralized, because I know you said decentralized on a scale a lot of times. Well, not a lot of times, a few times now, and it's something that I hear quite a lot. Where people say it's decentralized on a scale, on a spectrum. What part of Rootstock or these layer 2 applications that we're talking about make you say that is not fully decentralized? And on that spectrum of decentralization, how bad would you say it is?
All right, so in a way, it's very decentralized to a point, but the only problem there is the bridging, right? That's not perfect. Even though they have the best bridge, because the bridge from Bitcoin to Rootstock, you get RBTC, which is a bridge Rootstock Bitcoin. That's a step further than what we have on Ethereum. Ethereum has WBTC, which is complete BS because that's owned by BitGo. So BitGo prints WBTC. So that's something we want to avoid. So we want to go away from that kind of Bitcoin to a Rootstock like Bitcoin, where okay, it's bridged out and it's backed by miners that actually are using Bitcoin. And then the bridge is called POWPEG bridge, right? POW peg, proof of work peg. The only thing is that it's it's a bridge, but it's used using devices. So HSM, hardware secure module, hardware. I believe it's called hardware secure modules. those devices are what's securing the bridge, right? And the only part that's not as decentralized is that those the best part about those devices is that you can't have access to the private keys at all whatsoever. Because those devices are set up where it's impossible to have access to the private keys. The only problem is that there's only a couple of these devices, and those devices are by trusted entities that's working with Rootstock. So
Okay,
it's not
I'm trying to.
so in a way, okay, it's a step further, but it's not perfect. That's why I call it progressive decentralization.
Okay, I want to just make sure I'm understanding
Mhm,
because I'm trying to understand the rootstock bridging
mhm,
situation and how that is, and the mining part which you also mentioned, which you
mhm,
mentioned that is backed by miners. So I have Bitcoin,
mhm,
right? And I want to use the Bitcoin on the rootstock
mhm.
sidechain. Is rootstock is sidechain, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to use my Bitcoin on rootstock sidechain. I'm going to move my Bitcoin over to a bridge,
Correct, yes.
right? We are at the bridge with the Bitcoin. At this point, there's going to be a swap.
Yes.
Is that what it is? Okay. So now there's a swap.
A device maintains that swap though for you to protect your private key.
It protects like so basically there's a
Mm.
device that protects the
No.
Bitcoin that moves from the Bitcoin mainnet to Rootstock. So it's impossible to get a private key if that Bitcoin is moved from the mainnet to Rootstock.
Well, hang on, moment. I'll just roll back real quick. So we are on the side chain, right? We're on the bridge now. Um, at this point, you're going to be swapping your Bitcoin for RBTC,
Correct.
which is going to be a different currency,
Mhm.
right?
It's not
Okay.
different at all because
Well, so it's
that
the same.
Bitcoin that was moved that's called peg in, right?
Yeah.
So you peg in your Bitcoin. So that Bitcoin that moves from mainnet doesn't exist anymore. It's locked in, and it goes back into Rootstock. So if you want to get that Bitcoin back into the Bitcoin mainnet, you have to release that onto the Bitcoin mainnet.
Right.
So,
The rootstock then. So it's like you're giving your Bitcoin to rootstock,
mhm.
and then rootstock is holding onto your Bitcoin, and then in turn giving you the same equivalent representation of your Bitcoin in RBTC.
Yes. So it's
Except that
Rootstock
unlike
holds your
Ethereum,
Bitcoin. Wait, we're saying my apologies.
well, except unlike with Ethereum, in your the RBTC is backed by the miners.
Correct. Yes.
Hmm. So the miner is like a treasury for
So
the sidechain.
the miners are what keeps things going, right? Because if you want to take down Rootstock,
Hmm.
you got to take down the miners, which means you have to attack Bitcoin.
Yeah. Hmm. Okay. But then
And
if you're
if you
going,
want,
then
and if you
once
want
you
to
go
access the
backwards,
private
then
keys, wait, what were you saying? Apologies.
so going backwards then, because the keys, right? They say, because you said the devices, there's a device with the private keys that protects the bitcoins, right? And then that way on the rollback, the RBTC can be converted back to Bitcoin and then back to
It also ensures that a fake BTC is not created while it's out there, so that when it's
Yes.
coming back, you don't have extra Bitcoins coming back. It ensures that it's the same Bitcoin,
Mhm.
Correct. The same
unlike
Bitcoin.
unlike Ethereum, where you
Right.
can just give.
So in that case, then there's a holding device then
Yep.
owned by the sidechain. That's where it's not decentralized, right?
I wouldn't say it's owned by the sidechain, right?
Mhm.
What happens is that you can still bridge it out. The only thing is that the only purpose of these HSM devices is in case there's access to the private keys, right?
Right.
So
Right.
a lot of problems with these bridge hacks is that someone has access to the private keys.
Yeah.
So their only case is to make sure that private keys are not in anybody's hands. But the network itself, besides the bridge, is backed by proof of work.
So instead of having the one private key, then is a situation where this transaction that is now over in the Rootstock bridge,
Mhm.
is that recorded onto the blockchain as well?
It is, yes.
Okay.
Woodstock has it on Explorer as
Mm,
well.
okay, that's pretty interesting. I have to dig deeper into that.
And what's interesting there is that the bridge is open source, so you can see what's going on. So there's no
Absolutely.
secrecy here as well.
Man, that's pretty cool.
So this is the future that we're building on Bitcoin. Because on our show, right, we keep saying that Bitcoin can be used by the government. Like those are the kind of adoption that we want. Bitcoin being used by major corporations, by the government. For me, I think a good use case would be, the government sells land. Well, apparently the government owns our land, right? The government, we scrap them inside some huge databases. We store government information on huge databases that get stored away somewhere in the cloud. And I'm like, Bitcoin can do this where we can ensure that that information is not getting changed. It's a huge business for the government. E-records, we
Correct.
can do that right now on layer 2 and ensure that it's secure by Bitcoin. And like
Yes.
that's already a business model right there.
And if you guys look it up, Rootstock has worked with countries like it's called the country is called Gibraltar. They work with Gibraltar,
Yeah,
Gibraltar.
Gibraltar. Yeah.
and they're actually working with identity solutions with Gibraltar. They've been helping them out. So if you look it up, it's there. They've also been helping Venezuela, Brazil. So they're helping governments, and it's there. They're helping Peru. But so far, the reason why Rootstock isn't known yet. So even though it's gotten the government approval and governments want to use it because they can see it's reliable, it's backed by, it's used by, it's actually Bitcoin.
Mhm.
It could be trusted, and uh,
I
so it's
follow
there.
Rootstock on Twitter.
It's just still we're still so early, right? But Woodstock hasn't been known as yet because they were mostly focused around Latin America, right? So they've been doing a lot of work in Latin America, such as El Salvador, Venezuela, all that,
Mhm.
because the people need it over there. And me myself, I've been trying to help out with Africa because a lot of ambassadors in the Woodstock community are Nigerian.
Mhm.
So my goal now is to bring identity to definitely. I'm very focused around Nigeria because
Oh
Nigeria is
man,
going to be a
you're talking to the right person
very
here.
big. What are we saying?
I said you're talking to the right person here. Keep talking, keep talking. So
Yes,
you must know Heritage because we'll actually have him on the show next week.
I would love to be there with him. But
Continue.
yeah,
Sorry for
because
interrupting.
Nigeria is where it's at when it comes to fighting the corruption problem,
Yep.
right? Because we need that to be solved. Because Nigeria is top in tech in Africa. They have a very young population. They have everything, the resources, everything. Now it's about fighting corruption and making sure what's being done is done in Bitcoin.
So the story of Cardano on the African continent is gone. Forget about it. We don't need it.
No, the whole point of Rootstock, right, is to work for everybody. That's the whole
Okay.
point. Rootstock connects with Cardano. Like I have a picture of Charles Hoskinson wearing a Rootstock shirt from years ago.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I see Rootstock as a layer because I still like because some networks will have their own benefits, right?
Yep.
So my phone right now, my phone service is Helium Network. Have you
Yeah.
guys heard of Helium Network?
Yeah. We were talking about that in the
Yeah, I'm
group,
familiar.
and I was just telling Brazen that man, this guy got into Ilium way back when we were just looking at the coin, saying we're just gonna buy the coin. You were actually mining the coin.
Yeah, I got in so early that my phone plan is now $5 a month. But for everyone now, it's $20 a month because I got in so early. I'm paying $5 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data.
Incredible.
The future of this decentralized phone. Like, tell me how that's different from the Google phone and Apple phone that tracks everything that I do.
Oh, because they actually pay you for tracking everything that you do, right? I'm getting the mobile tokens because I'm like, hey, if you guys want to know where my location is, pay me. God damn it!
That's fair
At least
enough.
pay me.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I agree with that approach. I think if you're going to collect PR information, you should pay us for the information because they're using our information to make profits, and we should be able to make profits from our information being used as well. Especially given that the way the economy is transitioning right now, there's not going to be a lot of jobs, but revenue still has to be earned one way or another. I don't think that is going to be universal basic income.
It's not.
People who take universal basic income deserve to be slaves.
To be poor.
Okay, yes, they deserve to be where they are. But at the same time, we cannot sit by and looking at the same corporations who are making all of us poor and using our information, right, as well to make themselves richer as they make us poor, and we're not sharing in those profits. I think everyone has to look at their life as a business, and I think in this case, if you're using something that is paying you back, I think that's a fair trade.
That's
If,
true. That's true.
yeah, depending on how much you're getting paid. Yeah,
And the most important thing is data.
yeah,
Our data is so important, and it should be incentivized by
absolutely.
us providing our data, right?
That I agree with 100%.
So going back to Solana, right? Going back to Helium. So Helium's on Solana network.
Mm.
So that's why I don't hate on other networks because they have their own use case, right?
Mm.
But Bitcoin will have its own use case for like identity and more serious applications like government things as well. Uh,
Yeah, my
so
approach to that is that I am against every network until I see a real use case. Then I'll change my mind.
correct.
That's just me. Because I think that after a while, okay, there's just so much time or room that you can give for certain things to keep going on, right? Before someone has to be like, well, stop. You have to kind of draw a line. This is why I say that. Because for one, things that have serious use case, like let's say the Helium phone, and of course you could also get a Helium miner. There's things like demo where you can get a device, get paid for it to drive around. I think that those things are reasonable. Okay, but at the same time, we have a lot of things that have been going on and on for years and years, and we've not seen any solid use case. Right, but we know that there are people out there who are getting rich on those tokens, and they're not delivering on anything. And so, at some point in time, and I think this is why actually I also believe that this is why Bitcoiners started getting so I don't know, say prude, if you will, with people, is the fact that there is a certain sense of urgency that society must also have about transforming and getting off the current system that we have right now. Because we literally are sitting in a place where everybody says that the system is fake, the system is corrupted, and all that kind of stuff. But the part that is not correlating to me is the fact that people are saying this and they're not taking any action, right? And the fact, and when people continue to lag, right, there is this massive window of opportunity for opportunists to come in and do rock pulls, whatever the case might be, all of that kind of stuff. So I think my whole point really in this whole rant is that there has to be like some sort of a sense of urgency for us to transform from the current system that we are on. Because I think that, obviously all this blockchain stuff is great, but we must also ask ourselves, where are we heading?
Correct.
And a lot of times it looks very vague.
So this is what I'm here for. Where we're headed, right? But we gotta make sure because think about Bitcoin, right? How it started was to give everyone equal opportunity, right? So it's like, how do you empower people and give them a voice and give them a bank account in a way, right? So if you have a Bitcoin wallet, you immediately have like a bank account. So it's just how does that work for them, right? So the things I talk about is identity, right? If you have your identity, on Bitcoin, you gotta see Bitcoin as a country, right? It's like, okay, these are unbiased countries. So these is where you think about bigger because remember, like you said, there's a lot of SPAC things. So how do you see Bitcoin in a way where it's like a country, and you have your name, and you're part of this unbiased country. So the reason why this matters is that we've seen people leave countries, and they've had very high-paying jobs, and because they were from that country, they are now looked down on because hey, your education doesn't matter because you went to this country, so we don't care about your
Yep.
school.
Yep. It's a big issue.
Wait, what are you
Yeah,
saying?
I said that's a big issue.
it is.
Yes,
Yep. And then the currency in your current country is lower or terrible than another country.
yes.
Uh, there's no real reason behind that except for one currency dominates over the other.
So it's deep, and for me, one of the things that really got me, I studied economics in college. But as soon as I graduated college, right, uh, I went deep into Bitcoin, right, right after. Um,
Dang.
Yeah,
They would turn around.
I was like, no, I don't care about Wall Street.
I know the
I'm heading
secret.
straight to Bitcoin.
yeah,
um, but me, I was born in Haiti, right? I'm Haitian.
yeah.
So this is deeper for me because Haiti was the first free nation, right? And you saw what happened with Haiti and France and the banks,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah,
Hmm.
Uh, if you guys know the history, the France came like, hey, if you guys want to be free and not have us attack you, you got to pay. You got to pay us back, stuff like that.
yeah. Mafia activity. Yeah,
So it shows you you're fighting against the banks because the banks control the world, right?
That's a fact.
that's true.
We know that.
And then you see Zimbabwe, right? Zimbabwe has, we can't really trade. There's a lot of problems when it comes to borders in this world. Iran, Zimbabwe, and
Yeah, blockades by the government to stop them from transacting with the rest of the world, kind of like what they're doing with Russia right now.
Absolutely.
so that's another problem. So now you're like, okay, you gotta be like, okay, we're fighting against the banks. We want to make sure that the banks have no power over us as a people. So as a people, we own our identities on this unbiased network. And what it does is that it makes sure I'm equal. It's like everybody else. Doesn't matter where I live. And what's the most unbiased network? If everyone, you can't really change this because Ethereum is good, but the most unbiased network is Bitcoin. That's literally how it was
Bitcoin,
made.
proof of work, man. It's all energy.
Yeah,
That's what makes it very unbiased.
yeah,
We all gotta
yeah,
work for it.
yep. And then, yes, that's what makes it unbiased, right?
Hmm.
Have you guys heard of? Have you guys heard of Balaji? He's an author. Bladi.
PLA Bilaz. No, haven't heard of him. What did he write?
So Blaji. He's a very he's a blockchain writer
Hmm.
and thinker. He wrote the book. It's called The Network State.
Oh yeah, I've heard
Yeah.
about the book.
No, the book.
That's
Yeah.
a very important book.
I know of the book.
What are you saying?
I know of the book. I have to go read it now that you've mentioned it again. I've seen it. It's one of the big list of Bitcoin books that we all have to read.
Yes. It's a very important book. It shows you how we're going to.
It's also part of the old chain conversation that we need to have before we finish the recording.
It's how it changes that
Yeah,
final piece of the puzzle.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, so the network state, right, is important because it's about how do you give ownership to people? How do you give power to people digitally and bring that power into the physical world, right? Because it shows you the source of power today is the state, right? But now nobody trusts the government anymore, especially now with what's going on with the politicians and Epstein Island, all that stuff is getting worse.
Yeah.
There's no trust
Yeah.
anymore with anything.
Politicians with corporations pre-mine money, pre-mine power or access,
Yeah. That's another reason why I said there needs to be a sense of urgency. Because if things go into chaos, okay, there is going to be a new order, and a lot of people are going to lose out of that. But yeah, carry on.
That's true. That's true.
That's true.
And
That's true.
and and yeah,
And yeah,
so the state is
so
what we
the
trust
state is
today,
what we
right?
trust
And
today,
that's
right?
going a different
And
direction.
that's
People don't
going a
trust the
different
state.
direction. People don't trust the state.
Uh, now you have
Uh,
to understand
Now
where
you
is
have to
the most
understand
power.
where is the
The
most
power
power.
is
The power is
online,
on is
social media,
online. Social media,
games.
yeah,
That's where the community
games.
is. That's where the people are.
That's where the community is. That's where the people are.
To a point where I'm so bullish on
To a
games.
point where I'm so
I'm
bullish on
so bullish
games.
on games
I'm
that I
so
believe
bullish
they're
on
gonna be
games
more than
that
what
I
we
believe
see
they're
today.
gonna be more than what we see today.
Why don't you the one that came up with G Swift as well?
You say what?
In the group chat.
You say what?
Why you the one that came up with G
You
Swift
say
in the
J
group
Swift?
chat
You
for
say J
gaming?
Swift?
What's J Swift?
Yeah.
What's J Swift?
GSWIFT,
Oh
the
no,
gaming
that wasn't
coin.
me. I
Oh
didn't
no,
mention
that
that.
wasn't
No.
me. I didn't
Okay,
mention that. No.
that's probably Dillian.
But I am bullish on games.
What
But I am
Bitcoin?
bullish on
There's
games.
several Bitcoin games out there though.
Yes, because if you
Yes,
guys look at
because if you
ZBD,
guys look at ZBD,
have you guys heard of ZBD?
CBD.
Z E E
have you
V
guys heard of
E E.
ZBD? Z E E V
I can't
E
spell
E.
the company's
I
name.
hate I
It's
can't
like
spell
two
the
E's
company's name.
for both,
It's
like
like
Z
two
E E
E's
V E
for both, like Z
D
E
E E. I
E
think D E E. I think.
ZB.
And DEE.
Oh Lord,
um,
there's a lot of people by that now. So
Jay
it's two E's on
allowed you
each,
to earn
right?
Bitcoin. What are you saying?
It's two E's on each of them, right?
I think
ZB.
so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
many E's.
Yeah, but carry on. We'll find it while you're
Yes. They allow
they
you to
allow you
earn
to earn
Bitcoin for
Bitcoin for
games.
games, right?
And
And
if you
if
look
you
at
look
this,
at
right,
this, right,
you
you
kind of
kind of
don't want to be
don't want to
too
be too
political,
political,
right? Because
right?
if
Because if
you're
you're
upfront
upfront
political,
political,
you're gonna
you're
fight
gonna fight
against a
against
lot
a
of
lot of
people who
people who
are
are
in
in
charge who feel
charge
some
who feel
type
some
of
type
way,
of way,
right?
right? Of course.
So there's a
So
lot
there's
of
a lot of
power in
power in
games and
games and
social
social
media
media
that's
that's
very
very
subtle,
subtle,
right?
Mm.
Those are the
those are
most
the most
engaged
engaged
communities,
communities.
and
And
social media
social media
itself
itself
is a
is a
game.
game.
Like
Like
we get
we get
likes,
likes,
we
we
comments. It's
comments.
like
It's like
we get
we get
excited about
excited
all
about all
these,
these,
right?
right?
It's
It's
gamified. If you
gamified.
see
If you see
TikTok, how
TikTok,
it's
how
so
it's so
gamified.
Yep.
gamified.
So
So
everything is a
everything is a
game
game
in a
in a
way,
way.
and
And
gaming is
gaming is
bigger than the
bigger than the
film and
film
music
and music
industry,
industry,
right?
right? It is.
And
And
with
with
ZBD,
ZBD,
it
it
shows you
shows
how
you how
like they've
like
had
they've had
research where they
research where they
tell
tell
you
you
gamers love
gamers
to
love
earn
to earn
Bitcoin,
Bitcoin,
right?
right?
Yep. Call it honey and stocks.
Yes,
Yes,
they love
they
to
love
earn
to earn
Bitcoin,
Bitcoin,
and it
and
brings
it
a
brings
lot
a
of
lot of
engagement and
engagement and
interest.
interest.
The
The
gamers don't
gamers
care
don't
about
care
earning
about earning
NFTs.
NFTs.
You
You
know,
know,
I feel like NFTs
NFTs
it should be
it should
treated
be
more like
treated more like
skins,
skins,
where
where
eventually, if the
eventually, if
game
the game
becomes
becomes
popular,
popular,
then the
then the
NFTs will have
NFTs will have
value.
value.
The
The
problem with
problem with
NFTs was
NFTs was
that
that
they had
they
so
had
much
so much
value but
value but
nothing to
nothing
show
to
for
show
it,
for it.
and that was
And
a
that was a
problem.
problem.
My argument about NFTs was that it should be used for the music and movie industry and allowing artists to preserve their value instead of giving it to the production companies.
Mhm.
But that just never happened, though. That was just too much distraction away from that.
That's
That's
true.
true.
There was too
There
many
was too many
distractions
distractions
because
because
everyone's trying to
everyone's
get
trying to get
rich.
rich.
Off of just images.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And then
And
there
then
was
there
no
was no
use
use
cases.
cases.
Even
Even
Bolivar
Bolivia
Club,
Club,
there's no
no
game yet
game
that
yet that
actually
actually
works.
works. Okay. Yeah. This way.
Yeah. That's the unfortunate part. The old metaverse conversation, open seas, it just never really kickstarted. It was still just stuck on images. There was a few artists that were able to sell their music on the blockchain, but it all ended there.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, here's the
So
thing. I think that sometimes again, it's what is that guy's name? It's Mark something. But there's sometimes some things are just too early.
mhm.
I think that
Yeah,
we just in many of these cases we are just too. It's just too early. People don't get it yet, but maybe the time is going to come through. Um, but this ZBD thing, this is pretty cool.
I have a crazy idea though.
I think let me one
Yeah,
moment.
let you finish. Sorry.
So I get the idea that you're on about here with the online community. Our lives are now digital,
Mhm.
right? A lot of things that we do can be handled online, and so I've there was a show that we did a while back, and I was sort of explaining that um, if you look at society right now, I know the thing is you said that there is a power online, but it's subtle. I think it's not. From my perspective, I don't think it's subtle. I think that is there, and it is probably by social engineering that they are using it to subdue people's minds to not recognize what they're looking at because it is right in our face
Mm.
in the form of X or Twitter, whatever people want to call it. Because on Twitter, and this is also another one of those areas where I'm like, I get that this blockchain thing is here, but what does a list of priority look like for what we need to tackle first? Right? Do we need to tackle decentralization first, or do we need to tackle corruption and money first and shifting to a more decentralized platform? When it comes to decentralization on a spectrum, as everybody will say it, right? I think that Twitter is decentralized enough for global leadership, for the people to lead themselves, right? Because if you look at something like Twitter, there is some of the very smartest people on earth on that platform, and they're dropping this knowledge for free,
Yeah.
right? All you have to do is be there to see it. No matter where you are in the world, man, mainstream media right now cannot control the news, especially like the stuff that is happening in Gaza, because today we are all the news. We have the phone in our hand. We can post it on Twitter. A CEO can hop on Twitter and address anybody. And I think at this point in time, any president of any country should be able to hop on Twitter and address the whole nation. It is decentralized enough where there's many people on there. There's many sources of any specific information, right? And yeah, people could say not one person controls it, but to be honest, we are all on Twitter. The thing is making profit from all of us. So they're not going to be shutting it down all of a sudden because they don't like someone or something like that. So I think that is something that, as a society, we should probably be having a conversation about how we can make sure that the people that are voted in to represent us, they should be able to be held accountable, right? The idea that you cannot even talk to your congressman. To today, we all have to be signing crazy petitions to people we don't even know if we're going to be reading it. Okay. Meanwhile, these people could hop on Twitter real quick
And answer them
and
questions.
talk to everybody. That is decentralized and that is efficient as hell.
I love Twitter. I was in space with Jack Dorsey. I was like, wow, I'm here with Jack Dorsey.
Yeah.
Like, it just shows you how there's so much access to everybody on Twitter, too.
Exactly.
No special treatment,
Exactly.
no special access. Just hop on and
Yeah.
just join the conversation.
So with that, I think that even if we don't have, the same like how you were describing this, having this idea, which I think what you're working on there is very important. We all need a way to identify ourselves as we move through a digital economy, right? And I think that that's definitely something that would be very important. But the same way you were describing it with with looking at Bitcoin as a country of its own, you could say Twitter is a country
Yes.
of its own as well, except
Correct.
it's a combination of all the countries. And it's, anybody in the world, man, no matter where they are, you can reach them now as long as they're on Twitter. So
I would say one thing that Twitter has done really differently in the most recent events is the event of what's going on in Israel and what happened in Russia and Ukraine.
yeah.
In the past, all you would have had was CNN and Fox News and Facebook and the colonized YouTube pushing just one agenda at you, right? Blocking what the real content is. On Twitter, on X, you can come from both sides, converse about it, and actually have both sides of the conversation instead of propaganda.
Yeah.
And
That's true.
Bitcoin is solving that problem on the money aspect, but we already have solutions right now that further solves that problem, even on a more political and personal level, day-to-day level. I mean, like presidential elections, people can jump on and start talking about it, get in the conversation from both sides instead of you waiting for Fox News to give you a specific, well minted snapshots of what somebody said. And I think that's part of changing the future. And I feel like combining that with what we're doing on the blockchain and what you're doing on the blockchain, it's major.
Absolutely.
Yes. That's why when Elon Musk bought Twitter for like $44 billion,
Yep.
that was a very big deal. Everyone thought it was a mistake. But what he did was that he came on and he was like, "There's a lot of remember, it was not always a good platform.
Yep.
There was a lot of corruption with Twitter, especially around the time with the pandemic.
COVID.
I'm
Yep.
happy to say I never got the vaccine. I never got the vaccine.
Yep.
Congrats, sir.
But they forced people to take the vaccine, and there was a lot of propaganda there about, hey, you gotta take the vaccine, you gotta do this, gotta do that, and and a lot of people talking about, talking against it, and they were being shadow banned, or they were being taken down from Twitter at the time.
Exactly.
So it was very important that the world's richest man was able to buy Twitter. And that's fortunate, that's fortunate. But you still can't trust people overall, and then people still could be corrupted. That's why the identity solution is important, right? To make sure that the people there are actually who they are.
Yeah.
And it gets deeper, right? Because you see Twitter is the best platform for real information. I'm there every single day. But then you see Elon Musk. He's talking about gaming a lot. I don't think you guys have been seeing what he's talking about with gaming. So Twitter's gonna have games and stuff, and they're gonna be integrating games in the platform in the future. So it all comes together in that way: gaming and social media. And I believe gaming is the future of how we're going to work, right? There's an article I wrote around. It was January 2020, and I was in Brooklyn at the time. I was able to make money in 5 hours to buy some quesadillas and French fries in Brooklyn, playing a blockchain game, which is really cool experiment at the time. And even though that was an early blockchain application, it wasn't perfect because at the time, play to earners and it was something hot then, but it's not perfect because play to earn is not a great system because it could be abused.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's probably one of the reasons why China was shutting it down.
Because now you see people like thousands of phones, you using making money with play to earn games, and that ends up being not a good system because
But if you
you're able to have
a
1,000
valid
phones. That's not helping anybody if you're benefiting more than anybody else.
Yep.
is there a way around that?
There's a way around that identity.
Well, that's what I'm saying there, because you're saying that it would be in your project, right? In your startup, that would be
Correct.
having that digital ID, right? So can someone sign up for more than one digital ID?
So what happens is that so our identity is secured by Bitcoin, right? We're on Rootstock. But what makes it important is that we're going to add features to it where they can own assets, right? So imagine your Xbox account that can be moved from Xbox to PlayStation.
PlayStation.
So in
That's
a
the
way,
holochain conversation, though. We need to talk about that.
We might
before
also
we
talk
finish.
about the holochain situation right now, because I think that's where they
not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Because with holochain, they're going to build the next best social media platforms, and the things with healthcare and everything. So we're going to get there. Wait, what are you saying?
No,
carry on.
continue about moving your profile between systems, between I guess blockchains, if you want to talk about that, or between operating system.
Because with identity, it's a way to show proof of who you are, and for every achievement you've done, it shows you, hey, this is what I've accomplished, right? So at first, I loved storeground tokens, but it wasn't perfect. So my CXO with Vivar, we talked about different things like, hey, I love Soban tokens, but because I don't know you guys are familiar with Soban tokens, they are NFTs you can't sell.
The NFTs you can't sell.
Yeah.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
How does that work? But you can buy them.
Well, you earn them, but yeah, you can buy them as well, but you can't sell them. It's like a badge in a way, right? Like most of them as a badge within a
Does the value change at all?
game. What are you saying?
Does the value change at all, or is this a fixed value?
It's a fixed value because it's like earning a badge to a game, and there's no speculation there. Like you know how the problem with NFTs like speculation.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, it's gonna go to 100x.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Yeah. So what we learned from soulbound tokens was with Nike. Actually, Nike's very progressive, guys. They're doing a lot of great work when it comes to gaming and identity. So if you guys look it up, it's called Dot Swoosh on Twitter. DOTSWOOSH.
Dot Swift.
That's
Swish.
Swoosh. Yeah.
Like
Oh, okay.
Swish, like the Bitcoin Nike Swish.
Yeah. Like a Nike swoosh. Yeah. So basically, these guys they gave me ideas, and they showed what I'm doing is actually heading in the right direction.
Okay.
But Soba wasn't perfect. But there they taught me like what else can I do with Soba tokens.
Mm-hmm.
So with Soba with that swoosh, right? Nike has that swoosh. And they basically it's like a name. So us we have domains as well. It's dot Bitcoin emoji. The Bitcoin emoji that all Bitcoin maxes use. But that's the suffix for our names. And with Nike it's dot swoosh, right?
Is that
So
the XYZ names?
oh yeah, that's our Discord. So
Okay.
it goes straight to our Discord.
Okay, gotcha. Oh, carry on.
Yes. So basically, Nike has a naming system as well. So I'm like, yes, Nike knows that domains are right direction. Identity is the right direction for games
Mhm.
because you want to empower your users. Because without users, you're nothing. Basically,
Yep,
right?
absolutely. That's true.
Facebook, without users, they're nothing. Right? So you gotta find a way to empower your users and give them some kind of ownership and show them and actually reward them in a way. To a point where it could be interoperable. It could move from platform to platform. So Nike Dot Swoosh, they had the Dot Swoosh name, the domains, and they were able to work with Fortnite. So I was able to have my Dot Swoosh name connect to Fortnite, and I was able to earn an NFT for playing Fortnite.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn.
And because how was this possible? Because the Dot Swoosh itself was a soulbound token that couldn't sell. So the Dot Swoosh was a soulbound token. So it's just a card, a visual representation of the Dot Swoosh name.
Yeah, so you could say it was like your ID in that situation.
Yes, it's an ID, but because you own the ID, you have a badge attached to the ID that
Right.
proves that hey, because I have this badge, I'm able to be connected to other platforms to receive benefits. So now looking at Dot Swoosh, they are working with Fortnite. Now I can see them working with NBA 2K or Madden. Hey,
NFL, yep.
I have a
All
Dot
different
Swoosh name.
spots.
Absolutely. So you
Because
can
of
really
that,
look at it
I'm
like
moving platform to platform and be rewarded. What are you saying?
so you can really look at it like an authenticator,
Correct.
but is the new version of an authenticator instead of entering some numbers that are always
Two-factor, yeah.
revolving and stuff like that. You
Yeah,
just
in
have
a way,
this
yes.
authenticator that you digitally have access to with you, and you can use it to verify transactions in various scenarios.
And
Mhm.
it gets deeper because we like what they did, but we want to do something better. So what we're doing is that our domain names they're secured by Bitcoin, but we're not doing them as soulbound tokens.
Mhm.
We're doing them as ERC 6551.
What the heck is that?
Who you're gonna love that?
ERC 6551.
Yes, it's called
It's like
token
a
down
ERC 20, but
What are you saying?
I say it's like getting past ERC 20, but then going to some other extreme level.
It's basically like a plug-in, like an extension to ERC 721. That's all it was. It's like a little upgrade.
Okay.
Isn't ERC on Ethereum network?
It is Ethereum. It doesn't think about Rootstock. So Rootstock is able to use everything that Ethereum uses, but be secured by Bitcoin.
Hmm. That is interesting.
I'm telling you, man, that's a lot to learn. Just when I thought I know something, there's a whole world out there.
Well, I mean, that's
But let me
what
explain what that is. A token about account allows you to own assets with your names. wallet.
with your wallet.
So
Hmm.
basically,
So
it becomes a
basically,
wallet.
it
So
becomes a wallet. So your
basically what you have.
basically
The
what you
reason why
have.
I'm
The
saying
reason why
names
I'm
make sense
saying
for
names
this.
make sense for this.
Them,
Right.
they saying
Them,
that you could
they
own
saying that you
NFTs
could
with your
own NFTs
NFTs.
with your
That's
NFTs.
cool, but I
That's
see more of a
cool, but
use
I see
case
more of a use
with
case
owning
with
NFTs and
owning
tokens
NFTs
with
and
your
tokens with your
names.
names.
Because now
Because now
you could be like, hey,
you could be like, hey,
this is
Stack,
Stack,
this is
that
Stack,
Bitcoin emoji,
that Bitcoin
but
emoji.
because it's
Right.
a
But because
soul,
it's a
because it's an
soul, it's
ERC six
because it's
by
an
one,
ERC 6 by 1,
it owns
it
assets
owns
with that
assets
name.
with that name.
So now
So
imagine that,
now
right?
imagine that,
Imagine
right?
that instead
Imagine
of
that
that
instead of
one that
one
swoosh thing,
swoosh
it
thing,
could own multiple
it
of
could own
them
multiple of
as
them
verification
as
for what you've
verification for
achieved.
what you've achieved.
And
And
that wallet, that
that
name,
wallet, that name,
is proof of
is
ownership
proof
of
of
what you
ownership
have,
of
your
what you have,
assets.
your
And if you
assets.
think about
And if you think about
a country,
a country,
most
yeah,
empires last
most
250
empires last
years.
250
So now
years.
you have a
So
name
now
and
you have a
identity,
name and
your
identity,
assets
your assets
under that name and
under
identity
that name and identity
that are on
that
Bitcoin
are on Bitcoin
that lasts
right,
forever.
that last forever.
Are you trying to say
Right.
now that we've solved the whole Israel versus Palestine situation? Because now Palestine can say, wait a second, let's go look on the blockchain, because as you can see, that's my asset.
Correct. And it
Correct.
ties back to your
And it
name
ties back to your name
because your name
because
owns it.
your name owns it.
That's major.
Okay. Okay.
And the world is changing really
Wait,
fast.
hang on. Ties back to your name. It owns it.
It's the all owning
How will it?
something
How will
physical.
it? How will it represent physical property?
It will because you guys
It
see it
will
as like
because
a
you guys
LinkedIn
see it as like
resume,
a
right?
LinkedIn resume, right?
Mm-hmm.
These your resume in the
These your
digital
resume in the
space. This
digital
is your
space.
credibility.
This is your credibility. Yes. So at the point where the certificate of ownership was given to you, that certificate of ownership will be
Minted.
minted on the blockchain.
Wait, can you say one more time?
And then down the line. So at the point where, let's say if it's a piece of land, at the points where you get that piece of land, transaction will be minted on the blockchain or the certificate will be minted on the blockchain.
Correct.
Correct.
Because
And then maybe that certificate is an ordinal, for example,
mhm.
right? And then that means down the line, it will forever show that that ordinal or that certificate is belongs to you, unless you send that NFT or ordinal or badge to someone else. Or in your case, with your solution, let's say if you hand over the land to someone else and they have a certificate that is marked with their name, maybe using your solutions, your naming solution, then they can now send that, let's just call it certificate or ordinal to the next person. And then they would verify that transaction using your naming solution
Correct.
correct to change ownership.
Because that
Because
name
that
is what
name is what
matters
matters
for
for
everything that you
everything that you
own.
own.
That's like your
Your
digital
digital
resume.
resume.
Are you saying now that if you steal something, like your wallet get hacked, I still know it's mine because my name is on it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like,
So
oh,
like,
this
oh,
is
this
like
is like
because
because
your name
your
is
name
a
is a
wallet within
wallet within
itself,
itself,
but it's
but
able
it's able
to
to
own
own
certain
certain
things. And
things. And
the tech
the tech
behind
behind
the
the
names
names
or
or
they're
they're
using
using
account
account
abstraction
abstraction
is
is
getting better.
getting
The tech
better.
is
The tech
getting
is getting
better.
better.
Um,
Um,
but the
but
thing
the thing
about that
about that
is you
is
got to
you
think
gotta
about
think about
how do you
how do you
protect
protect
yourself, right?
yourself, right?
How do you
How do you
protect
protect
yourself?
yourself?
Because
Because
hey,
hey,
if I
if
get
I get
hacked or
hacked or
somebody
somebody
steals my
steals my
name,
name,
how do I
how do I
protect
protect
myself? So I
myself? So
want
I
you
want
guys
you
to
guys
look
to
up
look up
AutoCo,
AutoCo,
ATOCO,
ATOCO,
and
and
AutoCo is what
AutoCo
I've
is what
used
I've used
before.
before.
They allow
They
you to
allow you
have
to
an
have an
LLC,
LLC,
which
which
your
your
smart
smart
contract
contract
wallet
wallet
anywhere you
anywhere you
live.
live.
And
And
I did
I
it
did
in
it in
minutes,
minutes,
like
like
basically a
basically a
minute.
minute.
Click,
Click.
I was able
I was
to
able
have
to
an
have an
LLC
LLC
with my
with my
wallet.
wallet.
So now
So now
imagine your
imagine your
identity
identity
attached to an
attached to an
LLC in
LLC in the
that works in
that
the
works in the
physical world.
physical world. I want to see this. I want to see this. Give me a second. Let's find this here. I'm
All
looking.
right,
I'm
go
trying
ahead.
to find it, but I don't think I'm on the right page because
ATOCO.
the page I'm on here says that atomic precision
Oh, that's
for.
not it.
That's not it.
Look up
Look up
OTOCO
OTOCO
LLC. It's gonna
LLC. It's
pop
gonna
up.
pop up. All right. OTOCO
LLC.
Yeah.
LLC. Yeah. Atomic precision, man, and that's Is this the first one there? Look at us, man. We are browsing live. We're browsing live, folks. You're gonna browse the internet with us.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So
OTOCO article and
Space
LLC
LLC.
should pop up.
Space LLC. All right. I think Google is blocking us from reaching this one. It's probably because we're black.
That's funny.
I wonder. If wait. What's the easy way? Like, I can't remember like the extension for.
I think this is it.
If you guys go on, yeah, right there,
Perfect.
perfect.
Yeah,
God
this
damn
has to be
it.
Yeah, reject cookies, man. Come on now. So you said you created an LLC on this article situation here.
Yes.
Legally valid, upheld by the state
Correct.
too, and everything.
Yes.
And that's how much was the gas fees? Just the gas fees to navigate this thing, because did you have to like just cite questions here?
Yes.
Because
So
I feel
did
like
it.
on the Ethereum network you have to like write down a roadmap on the paper on what you're going to click on before you go, otherwise you're going to get slaughtered by gas fees.
Yes. The gas fees
was
weren't
it? How was the
weren't
experience?
that high.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't that high. It cost like $50 to create an LLC, basically.
Yes, right there. $50 for $9.
All on chain,
Dollar.
attached to my wallet,
They have
attached to my
dollar.
wallet. That was interesting.
Is it the top 3 states?
So
This is
now
amazing.
imagine.
Sorry,
What
Ethereum.
are you saying?
No, I was saying this is amazing. I was looking at. I was saying these all the tax-free states that they have
Yeah.
here. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Carry on.
So it doesn't matter where you live anymore. Right?
It doesn't.
So now if you have your identity attached to a LLC, it's because your identity so our identities are going to become because they're token bound accounts. So how do you verify your wallet is legal in the state? So it goes back to the network state. Because you have an identity that works between games and social media. Cool. But does it really matter? It has to matter in the physical world as well. So now it's like, my identity is proven in the physical world as an LLC.
Yo, Cuddy.
Mhm.
IRS is not gonna like all of this because they're already coming after us now. They're saying that we have to register our company now before 2025 for FINRA and all this madness. And we're over here going to Web 3, Web 4 with LLCs. People are here they're about to not pay taxes at all.
Oh no, that's the whole point. You're gonna pay taxes. It's gonna help you. Actually, it looks good for the IRS. Would love that you have a proven name, a proven identity, because they give you an address. Right? So I was looking for an LLC in Delaware when I started earlier. Not with my company now, but when I first tried this out 2 years ago, I created a Delaware LLC, and I created a Wyoming LLC. So it helps you create LLC, and it gives you an address with the LLC as well. It makes it legal and everything.
You can get an ID card from.
What are you saying?
There's a certain country. There are some countries that you can get a legal ID card with an address from them, and you can get it through. They have a blockchain. It's a digital ID. I forgot the name of this country, but I'm planning to get one, and it gives you with an ID and everything. So I think it's interesting because if they're able to do that, and I think that this is something that can definitely keep growing. Now, speaking of the IRS, I think that is an institution that is going to fade away. It's outdated. It does not function anymore. It is really not. It's not. I don't even think that we need to pay taxes anymore. But that's a different conversation.
I have a solution for that.
Go ahead.
There's a platform that I talk about a lot on Twitter. Sovereign. I wrote an article about them where you can get 0% on taxes because your bond gets your Bitcoin at no interest.
I thought I spoke to somebody in
You said
Miami.
you can pay 0% on.
Because remember, if your bond gets your Bitcoin, the platform is how it works. The bond gets your Bitcoin in return. But there's no middleman. It's bond gets the Bitcoin. So the platform is called Sovereign. The Twitter name is Sovereign BTC, I believe. And it shows you how the protocol is called zero protocol.
I think that makes sense because according to the U.S. law, okay, because we had a show a while back, and someone asked us how can we evade taxes, but we don't evade taxes, but I highly recommend taking advantage of the existing system because according to the U.S. law, there's no debt or there's no taxes on debt.
Yep.
Right? And so I can see how that would be a strategy. Putting up your bitcoins or your coin or whatever it might be, taking a loan against it. And then since CBDC is already USDC or vice versa, as long as you're in USDC, you can pretty much get to dollars, right? And then you can use that money.
And
it was a debt, and you can pay it back to cover your Bitcoin, and that should be tax-free money.
It is.
Right? It should be tax-free money. So I have continuously asked this to multiple people now. That same chain of events there, if that is possible, why the hell do I need to sell any of my Bitcoin? And why the hell do I need to pay any taxes?
The problem is that
because it seems like for one, the IRS wants you to snitch on yourself for them to be able to even calculate your taxes right now. They don't have a strategy. They're not plugged into the blockchain. Chainalysis is a scam. We already know that. So technically, the IRS is in the blind right now. They don't know any of these transactions we're doing. They just see addresses moving around, sure, but I am calling their bluff for sure. I'm just saying, I'm calling their bluff. If the IRS knew and was able to track people's transactions, okay, and they know how much people have made in the blockchain space and so on and so forth, I think that the outcomes that we're seeing right now will be very different, for sure. So, I don't know. I think that over time, we have to get to a point where we figure out a different tax strategy, maybe like a flat rate kind of thing. And then if you haven't paid yours, then they come for you. But I think right now it's like trying to put a gate, like the serrated gates, and you're trying to stop a bunch of water from flowing, and it's like the water is just flowing right through the gate.
That's true.
That's what I think is happening between the IRS and the blockchain space.
Yeah, because I've seen my transactions last year. That was the transactions. It was hard to do taxes earlier last year.
Yeah. How do you go back and track everything?
Yeah, it makes it difficult. It makes it difficult.
It is not sustainable. I think. I mean, that's just my prediction. Let's call it my prediction of this situation. But what do you think of that?
Yes, everything is happening. Everything is happening in a progressive way. So sovereign, basically, if you just buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin, you can just borrow against it whenever you want to sell. The only thing about that is that everyone thought about that with Celsius, with FTX, which is complete BS. Because that was not done on chain. So they were doing that. The problem about that as well is that the Bitcoin Max was promoting stuff like this. They're like, yeah, you could borrow against your Bitcoin on Coinbase or Celsius. That's not the platforms to use because they were still controlled by a middleman. So when I say things like sovereign, it's all on chain using Rootstock. So you're borrowing against your Bitcoin and your actual Bitcoin that you're using to borrow against without anybody's interference.
I like that. Well, let's wrap up with this holochain thing then.
Holochain and Bitcoin spot ETF. Let's finish on that.
Yes.
I know we've been on here for an hour, 30 minutes. This has been wonderful. At this point, man, I don't even know if WorldCoin and all these other coins have a use case anymore. Just do everything on Bitcoin and not the side chains. But yes, let's go ahead and talk about holochain.
Yes. So holochain is that missing piece, right? If you guys look it up, holochain is like a mesh network within itself. So if you guys study what happened with Cuba in the 70s, with like Fidel Castro, they would create mesh networks in the internet, which is people working together. They create their own internet.
Yeah.
So Holochain is creating well, basically it's almost done. So this year they're going live. I've been earning the Halo Fuel, which is a mutual cryptocurrency. And this gets deeper because Holochain, like if you pull it up, a peer-to-peer framework, and it's not blockchain.
Wow. Say that
It's
again.
not blockchain.
How does that work?
So it's like if you're on Web 2 right now, your data can go across all platforms without having to worry about creating a new profile. Let's say you're in X already, and there's another new app that comes out. You can immediately transfer to that other app without worrying about migrating your content from X.
That's not what it does.
Server
Basically, what it does is that it allows you to create.
database.
So it solves the computing problem. Because remember, we're headed into progressive decentralization, right? Holochain is for computing. Because even Bitcoin applications we have today are still using AWS. They're still using Google Cloud. And they can be taken down. Holochain is an operating software that works peer to peer, and the computing is so cheap, it's basically free. It also connects with blockchain. I got in a call with one of the co-founders recently last week, and we talked about what we plan on doing. Holochain works like a mesh network because like it's computing, but it works without the internet. So if we were in a place with no internet, it'll still function. And the computer.
This brings it back
Is
to
that
the
through information sharing?
Mm-hmm.
Is that like through like proxy information
Bluetooth to how
that
does
we're
that
sharing?
share?
Kind of like Tor.
Yeah, but it gets closer you are, like the closer you are connected together, the closer they are in that sense.
Yeah. That's some impressive stuff.
Because remember, we're heading to a place of decentralization. So we got to think about how do you solve that identity problem, which is what I'm trying to solve here. But how do we make
Yeah.
sure what we have is not taken down? Because hey, everything is cool. But like we've seen with France, like last year, was it 2 years ago? They were able to like shut down the internet. So what happens then?
France and Canada.
This is true. And you know, what's his name? The guy with the flappy neck. The guy
Schwab.
who leads World Economic Forum.
Schwab.
Yeah, Schwab. He said there is cyber attacks coming, man.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we have to fight against that. Too.
What's his name on Epstein? Yeah. Let me not say
No.
anything. Okay.
No.
Never
That's a
mind.
different topic.
Carry on. Yeah.
So it goes into different ways.
Yeah.
Okay, we gotta find a way to build things where it's cheap computing, but also can't be taken down by the internet, right? And make sure identity is stored on that. So one of my plans is that Holochain it has a way to connect to blockchain, right? They have a way to connect to blockchain, and they're working on the most popular, like if you guys go to flux.social, flux.social,
That sounds familiar.
they're creating a social media app. And honestly, I'm
So
not
how
as
do they,
bullish on
how does the ID
What are you saying?
What are you saying? How does the IDs tie in with the flux.social?
Yes, flux.social.
This has to be it. Ain't it? Flux.social, is this it?
Is that it? It's different.
Maybe it's that.
Look
I
up
might be on the
Flux.
wrong one.
Flux Holochain. Google.
Okay, let's see.
I believe it's Flux Social. I believe it should pop up somewhere.
You know what? I think it's fluxsocial.io.
Yes.
Yeah. Ooh, I need to try this. I want to try free. Flux is a fully distributed human-centered platform that facilitates social coordination with greater privacy, agency, and flexibility. It's almost like you put X and Nostr together or something.
Yes. And it works in Holochain.
Let's try for free. Okay. Yeah, so carry on, sir. You have to right away. You have to connect a wallet. Now, is this where? So at this point here, I'm on Flux, right? Social social media platform. I'm assuming censorship free or decentralized because I don't want to call it. I know decentralization is on a
It's
scale.
definitely decentralized because it's
Okay.
as on computing platform that can be taken down.
Okay. So let's say someone comes through here. Then at this point, they're trying to get in. This is where your digital ID solution might come in, right?
Correct.
Connect to your ID type, and then at this point, so how does yours work? Is it a plugin, say like you have on your browser, and you just connect it to any website, sort of like a MetaMask of sorts?
That's the goal. The goal is to make it where because you know how you can sign in with Google.
Right.
You can sign in with Handle anywhere you go. So instead of like the email as your name, it's that name that you log in with your name and it has all your credentials.
Absolutely. That's powerful. It's like combining every
Like,
it's like you could have like your it's like having if you, that would eliminate like one, like say if you had one password which you use to store all your passwords, and then you had like another thing which you use to store all of your wallets, and maybe you had your email addresses as well. It seems like that kind of almost consolidates everything, and then you could just have this handle, hence the name handle. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
present
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why I got his handle
Yeah, so you
from.
call it Handle.
Yeah, that's why it's called handle.
I got
Yeah,
it. I get it.
exactly.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah. It's you take out the handle, and as long as you have the handle, you can access anything seamlessly anywhere
Around the web,
around the web.
around the world.
That was powerful, brother.
And you can't be canceled. Right? If you
Exactly.
take everything with you elsewhere.
Oh,
Exactly.
cancel me, but I still got all my information.
Yeah, you cannot cancel, man, because if you cancel, then someone will just let them plug in again.
Correct.
This might be useful in a situation like with banking.
For everything, basically.
You know, Kanye West got cancelled from the banking system. I think in a situation like that, if his money is attached to his handle, and maybe he was just holding his money in a certain financial institution for the sake of keeping and business, etc., and they try to cancel him, he can just disconnect his ID from the bank, essentially rock pulling them in a heartbeat. Because you know these people don't want to give you your money in a chunk at once.
Yeah, I
They're
know.
trying to protect against a bank run
Mm-hmm.
because the system is fragile. So I think that yeah, that's definitely impressive stuff right there.
Yes, and this gets deeper because there's a company called Doc.com. If you look them up, they allow you to have free healthcare, right? They're working on that. So
This is on Bitcoin
it's
as
not
well?
Bitcoin. They're using I think optimism, and I'm trying to tell them to use holochain. I see more future with that, and I'm telling the co-founder like, hey man, you should use holochain. Holochain has the privacy intact.
Hmm. So with Holochain, I know earlier you said it was not the it's not well, I don't know if you said it was not Holochain. Did you say it's not a blockchain?
Yeah, it's not a blockchain.
Not on the
Blockchain's not.
blockchain, right? So with Holochain not being on the blockchain, I guess what is the security aspect then that really trumps? Because I know, okay, so for example, when you look at Bitcoin and you look at Ethereum or any other coin, it seems that there is this thing called the trilemma, which is these three areas of importance that you want to solve. One is the security, scale, then the other side is scalability, and the other side is speed. I think is what.
Yep.
So in that case, then is that is well, I guess that would not be something that Holochain deals with, right? Because they're just fully privacy focused.
Yes, so it's very scalable
Hmm.
and very private in a sense, right? But they need help with the blockchain with validation and payments. That's not their strong suit. So that's why they connect to MetaMask and all that. They support blockchain. So that's why I see the future of things working together. We're gonna put the technologies together to have an ultimate solution because it's not just one thing, but it does start with Bitcoin.
I have to dig deeper into this. This is pretty awesome.
So,
I've not, I've not spent time digging into Web3
And
for I don't know 2 or 3 years now, and just seeing the things that are rising now. This is pretty awesome stuff. Stuff that is worth exploring again.
mhm.
Right. Love
and it gets deeper, man.
it.
Now
Now,
AI,
AI,
where does
where does that
factor in, right?
yeah, we did a
Definitely.
video about Bitcoin and AI,
Yes.
yes, combining those two together. What solution out there are you all going crazy about?
Oh man,
Oh
I gotta
man, I
tell you
gotta
guys
tell you
this.
guys this.
So
So
you guys should
you guys should
look up
look up
beta
beta
BETA dot
BETA dot
XTORY
XTORY
Mhm.
dot AI.
dot AI.
That's one of our
That's one of our
friends.
friends.
Uh, uh,
DETA.
uh, so
So
beta dot
beta dot
XTORY dot
XTORY
AI.
dot AI.
Let's see. That's XTORY
Yes.
dot AI. All right. What about them?
So
So
we got
we
to teach
got
you
to
proof
teach
of
you proof
work,
of work,
right?
right?
We got to
We
how
got
people
to how people
work
work
and how
and how
they're
they're
empowered in
empowered in
society.
society.
Right.
AI plays
AI
a
plays
factor
a
in
factor
that
in that
where,
where,
I was
I
able to
was able
talk
to
to
talk
them
to them
and they
and
told
they
me
told me
how
how
they could
they
have
could have
an
an
avatar, AI
AI
avatar
avatar
on a
on
Zoom
a
call
Zoom call
with you.
with you.
So
So
imagine you
imagine you
attach your
attach your
identity
identity
to an
to
AI
an AI
avatar
avatar
while you're
while
sitting
you're
at
sitting at
home
home
and this
and this
avatar is making
avatar
you
is making you
money as a
money as a
consultant,
consultant. Oh shit.
getting on
Getting
calls
on
with
calls with
people
people
as a
as a
doctor, as a
doctor, as a
lawyer,
lawyer,
as a
as a
teacher.
teacher.
This
But
makes
then it's
But then
getting
it's
paid
getting
in
paid in
Bitcoin. It's
Bitcoin.
getting
It's
paid
getting
in
paid in
other
other
assets
assets
using our
using our
demonstration.
demonstration.
There's this chick from OnlyFans who's been doing this, and she's making like a couple $100,000 a year, a day. I think.
What?
What?
Yeah. So she has an AI. It's like a virtual AI, and this AI goes on dates with guys, virtual dates. Yeah.
Who's been dating?
Yeah. Yeah. Or you could text this virtual AI, and apparently
Yeah.
it sounds like her. But I think that this is also another something that it is also the dark side of all this technology is
Yeah.
the fact that the young guys these days are disconnected really, and to the point where you know stuff like that also happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, 140 something thousand dollars a day, or I think it was that she was making, and it's just you know AI version of her messaging a bunch of guys at the same time, and they're paying her on Cash App and talking to a bunch of different people on a virtual date at the same time, and this chick is not even doing
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
So
That's the
yeah,
future of work.
That's the future of work.
Think about it.
Think about it.
it's what
That's the future of
Future
work.
of work. That's the future of work.
it is the future of work, and it's a matter of how do we capture it
It's about
It's
how do
about
we make sure
how do we
because
make
that
sure that
that AI is owned by a real
that AI is
person,
owned
right?
by a real person, right?
So
yeah,
that's
So
where our identity comes in.
that's
Like,
where our
okay,
identity
this
comes
is
in. Like,
owned by
okay,
me,
this is owned by
and
me,
I know it's owned
and
by
I
me,
know it's owned by
and it's
me,
my work,
and it's
and I
my
could
work,
attach my
and I
skills
could
to
attach
it,
my
like my
skills to
voice.
it, like my
So I was able
voice.
to clone my
So I was able
voice
to clone my voice
last month,
last
and I could
month,
type any
and I
word,
could type
and
any
it talks
word,
like me.
and it talks like me.
So now this AI has my
So now this
voice,
AI has my
but
voice,
you could prove that
but
my
you
voice,
could prove that
if
my
I
voice,
attach my voice to
if
my
I
identity,
attach my
this
voice
is
to my
my identity.
voice, this is my
If you ever
voice.
want to use my
If you
voice
ever
for
want to
anything,
use
you have
my
to pay
voice
me
for
as
anything,
well.
you have to pay me as well.
absolutely.
So it's
So
very
it's
interesting. We think about
very interesting. We think about
because avatars are like far
because
fetched
avatars are
now. It
like
probably
far
won't
fetched
be
now.
big
It
like
probably
until
won't
like
be
2
big
years from
like
now.
until
But if you
like
think
2
about
years from now. But
audio
if you think about
and how
audio
you can attach
and how you
audio
can attach
to
audio
your identity,
to your
to
identity,
your
to your
persona,
persona,
that's big within
that's
itself.
big within itself.
So now voice
Now,
acting,
voice
singing, all
acting,
that. You
singing,
could be
all
at
that.
home making
You could be at
music and
home
you're not
making
even doing
music and
anything.
you're not even
It's
doing
just,
anything.
it's
Bringing
just,
Michael Jackson
Absolutely.
back.
huh?
Woo!
Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Let's go ahead and finish this because I know we're going over time. I know you have a deadline and I think you got another meeting to go to. I was thinking Bitcoin spot ETF and all that good stuff, and I'm now starting to think if I was putting together an ETF, there's a couple of companies and ideas that you've put together here that would be wonderful. I don't want to call them assets to add to my
Mhm.
ETF. because this is the future. I'm not sure if people, you know, if the fiat world is going to make sense or get this, because I keep saying we don't need an ETF. But now, after you spilled everything that you just spilled today, I'm now starting to think maybe we do need an ETF, because when we get a Bitcoin ETF,
Mm-hmm.
not only are you holding the actual Bitcoin, an ETF allows corporations to now invest more in all these Bitcoin ideas. I'm just that's kind of what I'm thinking is that you can have a lot of money now going to implementing all these other
Mm-hmm.
solutions on the
Mm-hmm.
Bitcoin network within an ETF. That's kind of like what an ETF does.
Uh,
Uh,
I feel like the
I
ETF,
feel like the ETF,
it will have its own
it will have its
uh,
own
positive sides, I guess.
positive
What it
sides, I
does is
guess.
that because
What
there's a
it
lot
does
of
is that
boomers that
there's a
don't care
lot of
about
boomers
Bitcoin.
that don't care about
It'll
Bitcoin.
be like, it'll get their
It'll be
attention.
like,
It'll be like, oh,
get
this is
their
a real
attention. It'll
thing.
be like, oh, this is a real thing.
And
Uh,
that's
you
what it's
know,
going to be for. It's
that's what
it's
it's
going to
going
be
to be
used
for.
for bringing
It's going to be
attention, in
used
my
for bringing
opinion.
attention, in my opinion.
That's the positives
That's
there
the
I see it for. It's
positives
going
there
to
I
get
see it
more
for. It's going to
institutional
get more
attention. And people be
institutional
like, okay,
attention. And people
how
be
do we
like, okay,
use
how do we
Bitcoin?
use
Because we know that
Bitcoin?
it has an
Because we know
ETF
that it
supported.
has an ETF supported.
So it just gives it more
So it
credibility, in
just
my
gives it
end.
more
That's all I
credibility in
see
my
it
end.
for.
That's all I see
It's a
it for.
two-way sword. You know, I'm thinking futuristic, like a technology investor,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it could be a attack vector from the banks to say, hey, there's this thing about to take us over. Let's just go ahead and buy as much of it and just hold it and just try to tame it. Kind of like the gold
Mm-hmm.
ETF spiked the
Mm-hmm.
price of gold, and gold has been kind of flat since then. In my mind, I'm thinking, but there's just so unlimited. There's so many unlimited solutions out there that can still be built on the
Mm-hmm.
Bitcoin
Mm-hmm.
network, that you could say, you know what, I could be the investor that literally push these innovations to the edge, because it's like it's a real new economy. It's a new virtual economy
Mm-hmm.
that is still connected to the real world. And you've mentioned so many solutions here today that I'm thinking, how do I buy the token? How do I invest in it? How do I get a multiplying effect, be a healthy investor? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, if I was a smart ETF investor, I might just get a lot of this investor's money and use it to push all these new technologies into reality. Actually, that's going to be my last question.
Yeah,
You know,
it
which
does bring
of
more
this
money
It
to
does
it.
bring more
What are you
investment?
money
saying, my
to it.
apologies?
Yeah.
What are you saying, my apologies?
No. That's what I'm saying. No, that could be another solution for the spot ETF. It's an ETF, exchange traded fund that allows you to I know some bankers will just focus more on the
Mm-hmm.
trading and the options trading and all that kind of stuff in the ETF portfolio, but that this could be a whole sector of the portfolio that literally bring a lot of these ideas into reality. The question is, will they do that?
Yeah, yeah. I see it as a savings
I
account
see
as
it as a
well for
savings
people
account as well
who
for
don't want to
people
rely on
who don't want to rely
401ks.
on 401ks.
Um,
Um,
that's the thing. Like, will they
that's the
do that,
thing.
right?
Like,
Because remember,
will
you
they
can't.
do that? Right?
It's all
Because remember,
about
you can't.
trust,
It's all about
right? Like,
trust,
how do you
right?
trust
Like,
them to
how
be
do you
good,
trust them
to even
good,
pursue
to even
things
pursue
that benefit
things
us as a
that
people
benefit
without
us
them
as a
trying to
people
find
without
something that
them
benefits
trying to
them
find
first?
something that benefits them first?
I don't think that the future economy is going to be meshing with this traditional system.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
think that this stuff is definitely it's gonna fade away.
Yep.
I just don't see. I don't think that there is a relatability between the newer generations and the way traditional finance and investing was handled.
Yeah.
This is why this space is moving the way it is. I get that they're right now you have VCs and all of these guys were moving their money over, but at some point in time, I think this money is going to be one way. It's not going to be coming back
It's gonna move from
to the
fiat
traditional
into
to the yeah. It's going to have to because for one, these investments have to start being. If these investments are going to happen, it has to be
Mm-hmm.
global, right?
Mm-hmm.
So um, I think just like if you look around the world right now, a lot of things from the traditional economy or the traditional system is getting outdated. It's fading away. Whether it's the U.S. power globally,
Mm-hmm.
right,
Mm-hmm.
and some of their strategies that you used to engage in business previously, it's just it's fading away, right? Because I think the rest of the world is now at this point where they realize that the previous trade agreements that they had with whoever, which allowed this structure to exist right now, is just not worth it for the sake of their
Yeah.
country anymore.
Yeah.
So this is why there is all these new trade agreements going on, right? whether it's Russia and China and whoever else rushing to create new deals to allow their economies to grow in a different manner. So I think this Bitcoin ETF thing, I try not to dive too much into it because I just try to first of all look at it from a basic standpoint. And from the basics, I think it's a scam.
Yeah, it's definitely not the point in use. That's for sure. And because at the end of the day, the governments will do what they want to do to benefit themselves. You say it's a scam, right?
Yeah, that's what I say.
Wait, why do you think it's a scam? By the way,
Okay. Look at gold, right? After people bought into that because it was supposed to be limited supply, then they essentially yanked the dollar out of it, essentially rock pull
yeah,
everyone. And so the value of the gold is now flat,
mhm,
fully controlled. That is a scam, right? If you take everyone's money into a certain asset, right, and then you claim that you're holding the representation of that same thing, maybe somewhere on Coinbase and such. Meanwhile, you have the ability to affect the value of that asset that they're still holding, regardless, right? So Bitcoin could be running up and inflation could be running up as well. Your ETF should be losing,
yeah,
technically.
yeah,
If it does not lose, they're going to make sure it loses because there's going to be fees attached to that as
mhm,
well,
mhm,
right? The whole time you can buy it yourself. Most of the companies that you can put into this ETF are Bitcoin related or they have Bitcoin on their balance
mhm,
sheets.
mhm,
So I think at the point where you are getting people to, one, buy something under a group of regulations set by a group of people that they do not
yes,
trust to begin.
yes,
If you don't trust someone to do something with you, how can it not be a scam already, right? And then there's few of them that have the ability to affect the true value of what it is they're holding based on whether they can increase and reduce that interest rate using money that they printed, but you and I had to work for.
mhm, mhm.
It's a scam, brother.
Yes, and it goes back to the fiat war. So when I talk about
Yeah.
halochain, I talk about something called halo fuel, which I've been earning for the past 2 years, and it's called a mutual credit currency that you can't print.
Yeah.
That's not debt based in a way, and
Absolutely.
that's important because. Hmm.
No, I agree. I agree with you there. That's just I think that's the main thing with that. However, from a standpoint of profits, absolutely, I think that is going to absolutely crush it, no doubt. It's going to crush it.
Talking
But
of profits, right? Let's close the show with profits. So I'm holding stacks, still holding stacks, and I'm not exiting that yet. Can we just quickly go do a quick brief over what we've talked about now and what our viewers can benefit from? Not financial advice, by the way. I know Roots stock does not have any
Hmm.
token.
Hmm.
I know Stacks
Hmm.
STX is a good
Hmm.
option out there.
Yeah.
I've seen Hollow. Is that the same token that I've seen on the exchanges? I've seen Hollow on the
Oh yes,
exchanges.
so that has a token, but they kind of don't care about the token. They want to use that to exchange into hollow fuel. So this year, and
Okay,
like for
so
about 3 months, they're gonna have a way to exchange your hollow tokens to hollow fuel, which will be their mutual credit currency. So that's
okay,
alpha right there. If you get hollow, you could exchange hollow chain's tokens 1-to-1 for their mutual credit currency.
okay. So Hollow is another token out there that you
For
can
sure,
get.
because that's hollow chain.
Solidity is a layer one blockchain. I've seen that as well somewhere.
You said which one?
Solidity.
No, that's a
I've seen
language
a
for
sol-
Ethereum.
yeah, it's a language.
It's a language. Yeah, I've seen a coin called something similar on the exchanges.
I'm not sure. That don't sound familiar.
All right, so that could be another meme coin, another rug pull over there. All right, ZBDE, does that have a token?
They do not have a token.
All right. Dot Swish, it's Nike, so of course invest in Nike if you're still in the fiat world. They know what they're
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah, those guys, they're doing.
What other coins?
Mhm.
Go ahead.
I said those guys at Nike. It's not about fiat with them. It's more of like culture and gaming. It's
Yeah.
good to learn from them because they've been finding ways to integrate identity with gaming, and they have big partners like Fortnite, Epic Games.
Okay. So, what other tokens do you think comes to mind for early investors? Again, not financial advice that people should be thinking of with all like the future. There's the Bitcoin AI situation. We definitely got to get into that because AI is the future.
So there's a new type of tokens. Those are on stacks. They're called STX20. So they're
Okay.
basically like BRC20s that were on ordinals, but they're out there on stacks in a way. They're basically like layer two BRC20s. And BRC20s were
Okay.
tokens on ordinals, but they're like, okay, well, let's do this on stacks instead with this cheaper gas fees.
Okay.
So a token to
So,
buy is Alex. That's the best token on stacks to buy because they're building well, they have an exchange between ordinals and stacks. They're basically the biggest DeFi exchange on Bitcoin right now.
Alex,
Yes,
ALEX.
Alex.
So, you telling me now that Stacks got some major competition coming for Solana?
Uh, Stacks is phenomenal right now. Stacks is probably getting the most attention at the moment for layer solutions. This year, I called this year 2024 the year of Bitcoin layers. So I'll have my eyes on Stacks because they're gonna come out with their SBTC, which is their version of Rootstock's RBTC, but for Stacks.
Man, I love our name, man. By the way, if you have not subscribed and you're not following Cody right now, you need to follow him on X. And if you're not following Stack, a big fan of Stacks, you might probably want to do that too right now.
I'm not a.
Yes, Stacks have some very intelligent people. They're doing a lot of great work, and I definitely buy the token, and I'll buy Alex. That's a token on Stacks as well, and definitely buy Hollow Chains token. They're gonna come out on. They're gonna be released this year after 5 years. So I'm sure things are gonna
Oh,
be
wow.
are gonna go crazy.
Something's finally getting released on like Cardano.
Absolutely.
Oh man, I feel bad for Cardano. Like they're always like on the outside looking in.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, please subscribe to
Follow.
Cordy on Twitter. Okay, we can go on and on forever here.
At COD at CORDYJOS.
Yes. We gotta have you back, brother.
For sure,
we can talk about some more of your activities in the blockchain space. Yeah, very exciting stuff you're working on. Very exciting stuff that you've shown us today, and I think I'm going to be spending time learning some more about these things as well. For anyone who's watching this as well, I highly recommend that you check out some of these websites and some of these things that we spoke about here.
Yes.
Okay. Very, very important for your growth as the new blockchain economy comes through. All right. Swoosh was one of those other things we spoke about, but we're not promoting Nike. Just look at the technology, I guess. We are also STAKK on X. Be sure to like our channel. Okay, well, follow our Twitter page as well. Subscribe to the channel. Okay, and all that good stuff as well. STAKK here. Before we roll out, Cordy, any final words you want to give out for the people? Anything at all? Maybe for a beginner, some projects you're working on, or your project which you're working on. Any details you want to share about that? Anything at all? Go for it, sir.
Yes. For sure. Like I said, this year is a year of Bitcoin layers. So if you're against Bitcoin, you're doing yourself an injustice. So definitely look what's happening around Bitcoin. It's gonna be a very big year for Bitcoin because it's good for crypto because now, especially from what I've seen in 2022, a lot of things were built on quicksand. For the first time, we have something first time, we have something we're have it around the Bitcoin ecosystem, and it's going to trickle down to other chains as well. So now we're saying many chains follow what's happening with Bitcoin. They're having inscriptions on chains like Flow blockchains and Solana. Stacks have inscriptions with the STX20 that they're building out. So a lot of people are following Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's leading the way. So I'll basically keep an eye out for Bitcoin, see what's happening, and there's a guide. There's a lot of people to follow, but definitely keep up with. Definitely add Stock as well to who to follow on X.
All right.
But yeah, very big year. And also keep an eye out on gaming. There's a game that I've been. So one of my friends, Johnny, he's working on a blockchain game. It's the first ever blockchain game in Japan actually. It's called Tuntachi. You guys look on Twitter, it's Tuntachi AR. I've been talking to him about ideas and discussing how to improve it, because it's a pig racing game. And he's a black dude from Detroit, which I love. Like, go ahead, bro, do your thing. They were actually on Netflix as well. So they had a Netflix. They were part of this show that talk about the innovations with the future. So it's an AR pig racing game that's going to be doing a lot of great things this year as well. And I want to see it do well. Because I'm using AR, because I want to see things go from digital to physical. I want to see a combination of both of them as well.
Absolutely incredible. Well, thank you very much, sir. Thank you for hanging out with us. I think this was pretty cool. A different format, just chopping it up, man, with the squadrons of the how would you say? Is it
Digital
a squadron?
era.
The blockchain squadron, if
Yeah.
you will. Okay. Of the digital space, if you will.
And I have one more thing to look up too.
Yeah.
IOEN.
IOEN.
Yes. Or is it IEON? I might be saying it wrong. But there are on blockchain as well, and they're bringing energy to be power everywhere over the world, cheap power using hydrogen. So that's big as well. We need to fight. It's a fight for fighting a way to have apps that run on cheap computing, doesn't rely on the internet, provide people power, give people identity. But it's a fight that it's gonna work out. But we have to put these all together to get these solutions. Because like you said, it's an urgent thing to get these done to make sure the future is actually in the right hands.
Agreed. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to this episode. It's been an incredible one. Lots of juicy stuff was spoken about there about the blockchain environment with Mr. Cordy. Okay, Cordy, thank you for joining us so much, sir. Until next time.
For sure. And guys, definitely let me know about the trip to Nigeria. I didn't hear much about that. Probably next time we'll talk about it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think I have to release the video. I think we already recorded it. I just didn't release it yet.
Oh, okay. Well, next time you're on, we'll talk about it anyway.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think that'll be worthwhile for sure.
We can have a whole video about that. Absolutely. Actually, we should have back on the show.
Listen, let me stop both of you real quick. I'm going to stop the show, and then we can talk after we stop recording. Okay? Give me a second. Let's wrap this one up. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, Brazen out.
Double O out.
Yeah.
Hang on.